it's been a quick day, especially for us NA fans, unfortunately, but we have to keep you waiting a little bit for what might be the best match of the day, maybe the only 3 mapper of the day as well, Sam.
Yeah, I would say the most hotly anticipated series of probably this entire tournament as of right now, especially for some of our older Rainbow Six Siege fans, as we have some amazing talent on both of these squads, especially historic talent, Carter.
Historic talent indeed. Cyber going all the way back to 2018. Joystick, Shepard, Dan. I mean, I don't really need to speak to these players' reputation, to what they are known for inside of the server, what they are capable of. There are some newer members on FaZe, though. Vidaking, Handy, KDS, betting on a new roster, a gamble, a new system in general. The Doctrines against the new. We have Consulate, an old favorite, to decide it. And now, potentially the most impactful part of the series. Both of these teams, especially FaZe, can be very flexible in those bans. And Sam, I'm not going to lie to you, there were 2 bans I wanted to see to start out. Either a Buck ban or a Grim, excuse me. Considering Cyber's not giving up that Buck and not letting it leave his cold, dead hands, I like to see Grim and Ying, 2 of the best attackers of this tournament, both gone to start.
Yeah, and you knew that Virtus.pro was going to be removing Ying, as they have removed her 92% of the time inside of their games, Carter, so why would they change things up now? They are inevitable when it comes to these things. Azami, I do believe, is the follow-up for their defensive bans, and yes, she is indeed at a 93% defensive ban rate for them. So, with that being said, we got the Fenrir for FaZe, as that'll be removed, as they usually ban out Azami as well, so they get to reach deeper and farther into that bag and remove something like this. I think this is fantastic, especially for a map like Consulate. You're swinging a lot of doors, you're clearing a lot of hallways, and you don't want to worry about that Fear Nox gas there when it comes to those engagements.
And in my opinion, the one time we saw Virtus.pro on this map in the EUL, in that 7-0 over Wild, this was one of the best showcases of their strengths. Playing crossfires, holding angles, and coordinating with their teammates. Fenrir makes that a lot easier. You're able to have a sound cue when somebody walks in, they're blinded, and then you're able to take a gunfight and usually win it. If you, of course, don't end up whiffing some of your shots. So I think it's a very smart ban for FaZe, both in general, of course, but also in this particular matchup. FaZe are starting out on the defense, though, so we will take some time to see those famous Virtus.pro crossfires in the defense. But it might also take some time before we see an attacking win. Consulate has not had the same woes as, say, Clubhouse did earlier in the tournament with its insane defensive win rates. The one struggle this map has internally is it is difficult to acquire map control without physically moving in and taking it yourself. We'll see how Virtus.pro adapt to those challenges, whether they can beat that fate that has awaited many teams in this tournament.
Most definitely. This map's a lot different from its previous iteration, where it was a lot of window play, a lot of cross angles coming in built upon that. Nowadays, it's a little bit more like a labyrinth. You get inside and you have to deal with the amalgamation that the defense has built. And for Virtus.pro, more than likely going to be a very straightforward affair for them, as we know their style of play. When it comes to Consulate, though, 61% defensive overall win rate currently, and actually CEO meeting, although it has the most plays, it has the worst win rate, sitting at 48%. Let's see if Virtus.pro can change up their fate.
We've seen a lot of interesting strats on the CEO side. I remember a particular G2 game earlier in the tournament where we saw Alamau and the Amaru hopping in and out of that CEO window. Gara hooking in, then hopping out to bait as much utility from the defense as possible. But that doesn't read like a very Virtus.pro strat now, does it? They like their more systematic clears. They are a very by-the-book team, as the desk mentioned. And the Doctrine has been very consistent for this team, for this core, for so much. Some small adjustments have been made with Pasha, a little more aggression, a little more inventiveness, but here we go. An admittedly very quick set of util going on in. The Capital vaults in and hops out. Baits out quite a bit of utility, also does quite a bit of damage to Vidaking. But with that toxic canister, if VP wanted to execute, they'll have to wait a little bit longer.
It's all going to be a numbers game here, especially when it comes to the utility. Shepard in and Shepard out once again with that case, as they'll continue to try and bait out the majority of FaZe's utility. Some drones here to try and assist, see where these FaZe members are positioned. Dan's going to work his way up yellow with this drone as well, just to try and see exactly the ways that they can try and manipulate this. Dan is actually going to follow suit here too, more than likely try and be that cloak and dagger move once that plant starts to come in. Joystick will take down Handy. Vidaking's on such low HP and he doesn't have a smoke. If he steps up here, he's more than likely dead. Waiting on souls, they're pre-firing the window. They're doing their damnedest to try and find an answer to this, but it's not there, and Shepard will pick up Vidaking too.
Going for the defuse now extremely difficult as Virtus.pro have entered some incredibly strong post-plant positions. We heard the air jab ticking around the corner earlier that was stopping Vidiking from pushing. Well, there's it going, and there's Soul's gone. KDS doing his best to try and find a way back in, but VP, a compelling argument to start out their attacking half on Consulate. A flawless execution, and it just so happens the game seemed to agree.
I'll definitely tell you, in the lineup of Virtus.pro, there's a lot of killers. But there's one man that you do not want hot in a series against you. And it just so happens to be the cyborg of Joystick. If that man can find his stride, to this day, he is still one of the most dangerous men in a server. That's a triple kill for him to start. Great supporting angles there with the buck, able to transition that into the mid floor and completely abuse this setup here on Consulate.
And ironically, the very execute I mentioned, that's exactly what VP ended up doing, except minus in Amaru. They had the Capitao to bring the utility, and they hopped in and out to try to bait out Vidiking's utility while having a buck from below, alongside the air jabs inside of the site, a nice little addition. To make sure that nobody could rotate up and go for that defuse. I really like that strategy from Virtus.pro to start. And we see some very nice adjustments as well from FaZe. We see the Solus coming into play. Not a CEO defense, but a lot of presence will be inside of this. We could honestly even see Vidiking playing below or above the site. We've seen a lot of teams play retake with the Solus upstairs this tournament on Bank and on Consulate. We've seen it plenty of times as well.
Most definitely. And this is what I was expecting more for Virtus.pro when it came to their lineup here on Consulate. I was expecting a lot of globals. We're going to get two of them here. Lion and Doke both out to play. This is going to help Virtus.pro lock up a lot of the big sweeping moves from FaZe. Maybe a rotation, maybe somebody trying to move through that mid floor and cause a muck of things when it comes to this offense. They'll be able to lock them down, and with good information, they should be able to isolate these kills. One big thing here as well, Dan's going to be on Sledge. We have not seen a lot of this operator this tournament.
No, we haven't. Buck has risen to be one of the top 5 highest picked attackers throughout this whole tournament. In no small part because, well, his vertical destruction is quite flexible. He can go above or below. But most importantly, the nades Sledge has are not as strong as they used to be. And, well, they won't be a factor in this round whatsoever. Handy's able to find the first pick. FaZe are one of the best entry teams this whole tournament. They are plus 39 with Cyber himself well into the 20s in terms of his own opening advantage. Handy, the second highest rated player of the tournament. It might cost a lot of his HP to get that kill, but if FaZe are able to maintain their dominance on this defensive half amongst the others in those opening picks, this Consulate defense might very well be a 5-1 if VP don't find an answer.
You can see the idea for Virtus.pro here, especially from the lineup. They wanted to try and get Dan in up top to get some of those supporting angles there and then have Joystick work around the garage with the skeleton key. Pasha's going to be down here in tow, just has that drone here to try and assist, but Joystick's more than likely going to start looking to open up this floor here and trying to abuse some of these players on site, making it a little bit easier when it comes to execution time. But the big issue is that FaZe have loaded the entire top side of the map. You might be able to get control, but with Vidiking still in play on this Solus, if you try and go for that plant, you're more than likely dead.
We saw Benjamaster in the earlier G2 game really struggle with that. Looking to go for a defuse, but always having to worry about the Solus. A solution could be always, once they're able to deal with some of these top floor players, going in, dropping the case, moving out, and then baiting Vidiking on that Solus, trying to make this a 4v3, but Souls is doing the work on the top floor. This is the #5 highest rated player in Atlanta, but this might be the best team in round 2. As aside from one kill onto KDS, Virtus.pro have had barely an inroad into round 2. FaZe simply have to wait on this top floor or throw a C4 out that Shepard has to dodge before this round is done and dusted. FaZe answer Virtus.pro's first with one defense of their own.
1-1, Virtus.pro thinking that it was going to be a little bit easier for them to try and manipulate that top floor, but it was anything but. So many separate angles, so much firepower, especially initially being able to remove that Sledge from play. That mattered a whole heck of a lot to the overarching story of round 2. Virtus.pro do their best to try and work their way into that garage, get some good info working with those drones, get those yellow pings going, get that skeleton key going, but it's all for naught at the end of the day. FaZe able to get some really, really big kills where Virtus.pro were just not able to fight from the lower ground.
And again, that might be one of the biggest issues Virtus.pro will have. FaZe are such a strong team on the entry this tournament. And with Consulate being a pick that didn't necessarily come out of nowhere, if you've been looking at some of their ban preferences at times, but still one that they have not played. VP might have anticipated this, but it's one without a lot of tape. So FaZe's strategies will have to be something Virtus.pro adapt to in round realize in the moment and then make adjustments on the fly.
10 seconds
and with
remaining.
that Solus, again, another round where Cyber now taking her up, but that Specchio
5
still
seconds
in
remaining.
play. I imagine, given the intel she provides and how it stops Virtus.pro's
Attacker's
plant-focused
objective is to
mentality,
defuse the bomb.
that needs to be priority number 1 for VP.
Most definitely. Virtus.pro have the highest percentage of planting at this tournament right now. Sitting at 33% of their offensive rounds. While we're on the subject of percentages, FaZe and the Sonics were actually tied earlier for entry percentage, but we saw Sonics burn up in the atmosphere, sadly, earlier for us North American fans. But FaZe, before this series kicked off, 58% of the time, they have the opening kill. Truly impeccable stuff. You can't ask for a better play.
No, you truly cannot. A hurdle VP will have to overcome, of course. Let's see how they do it in this round. Starting out over on the server side. It's a basement bomb site defense, all the way inside a garage. Starting on the backside are VP. Nobody from FaZe really contesting them early on at the moment. Right as I say that, here's that Solus.
I love this.
Not playing for the post, not playing for plant denial right now. Playing over instead in admin to not only find this utility, but give intel to the defense where the attack is pushing from. Joystick finds one. That's Vidiking getting aggressive, but he'll back off after that initial engagement. But VP are found out at the moment. Cyber's called where they're pushing from. Let's see if he gets aggressive and decides to do something about it.
Joystick. The patience on this man, and he's gonna get a Cyber for it. A little bit of damage dealt back to him from an unknown source as Dan will transition downstairs, working his way in through the halls here. Has a Claymore to try and assist. So we'll be waiting things out. Dokkaebi call in here to try and help as well. Vidiking will be able to get rid of that. We have the Mute Jammer on the floor next to him. They're trying to do their best to slow up VP here. They had a very good read on the early situation and what VP wanted to go for, but now the health pool is starting to dwindle. Vidiking's been discovered inside of Tellers. That call still rings true in his pocket. You can see FaZe waiting patiently still down low to see how Virtus.pro are going to try and deliver this case.
Oh, Vidiking going for the flank. There's one player on drone, another down below with Shepard. Vidiking's trigger discipline doesn't reveal it just yet. Joystick still on that top floor. Vidiking strikes. Down goes Dan, and now it's a game of cat and mouse with 40 seconds remaining. Virtus.pro know in an ideal world they're able to deal with Vidiking, but they're in an impossible bind. Do we take time to try to find him, or do we just go for the execute? And if they do, because they're dedicated to this backside push, KDS could still very well cut them off on the entry. Pasha on the opposite side, bottom of yellow stairs. Nobody inside a garage, peeking at the moment. FaZe are playing such a disciplined game. They might have lost the opening duel, but the late game is also theirs. 3v3 still. A chance for the gunfights to go Virtus.pro's way if Shepard can find them.
Oh.
There's one, there's two, but another Vidiking 1v3 in the making? No, not in round 3 at least. 2-1 now, Virtus.pro.
Down to the wire there. Very scary moment there for Virtus.pro, and for all intents and purposes, FaZe, with a very nice setup, able to get ahead of VP early in the round, slow them down, force them onto bad timing, but once it came down to that whole swath of frags and what had to happen inside of those gunfights, it was clearly the way of the orange. So well done on that entry at a bare minimum, although definitely FaZe with a moment there where they could have taken that round and swept it under the rug. Into round 4 we go, though, and it's going to be immediate change for FaZe as they'll readdress the top floor in this site. As we saw earlier, Virtus.pro with a pretty interesting way of being able to dislodge a lot of the FaZe utility, mimicking what we saw earlier on in the tournament as they hopped in and out of that CEO window.
Just such a cleverly inventive strategy. It's almost like comical in how it plays
It is
out.
very funny,
Not comical because it's bad,
no.
but it's just, oh, we're going to bait out utility by hopping in the window and jumping back out. And it's a perfectly reasonable case because when you're defending this bomb site, the offense has that little cubby that unless you're playing down below and nobody from the attack is contesting you, or if you're able to swing, those are your only two options to actually deny that plant, aside from, of course, using utility. Virtus.pro had the buck down below. They had the Nomad to stop anybody from swinging, so FaZe's only option is to use utility, be it C4s or toxic canisters. So if Virtus.pro can get that same control as they did before, FaZe will be in a similar bind as round 1.
Drone deployed.
The Capital working his way in. We saw that previously. But what we didn't see is Gridlock on Joystick. And she's gotten a buff here in the last handful of months. Those frag grenades coming in super shorty as well. She has so much utility to be able to utilize on the offensive side of things. They make things pretty difficult for the defense sometimes. But the one thing that they will be lacking is that they don't have a buck. That's something that we've seen Virtus.pro lean on quite often here on this offensive side so far. But it will be missing for round 4.
And we're going back to an old favorite of this core. Remember the famous Team Empire admin take? One where I believe, if I recall correctly, G2, if what Nick told me a week ago was right there, a Doc and a Rook sitting in a corner just to try to stay alive to take gunfights. This take for these players was famous.
Whoa.
And Joystick's patience has borne fruit for Virtus.pro 2 rounds in a row now, finding Cyber in round 3 and now Handy in round 4. For this admin over clear, where you can often get stuck on top piece of stairs and pushing through individual doorways, that 5v4 might very well save VP a lot of time.
And look at these drones from VP. 3 active drones pushing themselves forward, trying to work with Checkers Hall. This is the biggest issue with the admin take in its current iteration on Consulate, is this hallway has been so hard for many a team to deal with. But fortunately enough for Virtus.pro, it seems like they've done a very bang-up job of being able to clear out this position. They still have Joystick up on the balcony, or rather up on the roof, as he will drop down to the balcony to try and assist. Souls will take him down. A nice find by Cyber here on Spiral as well.
Getting back that 4v3, Virtus.pro kind of back to where they were at the default. All these angles are being held by FaZe defenders. KDS with a nice little 2-piece. Potentially seal the deal on round 4. Shepard has to do the same thing as the rest of his teammates did. Push on Nudi's doorway or some weird hole opened up by Pasha's ex-Kairos. There's no easy way back from this 1v4. He doesn't even find an impactless kill for his troubles. Very even game on Consulate so far. We're all tied up again.
And an interesting one there as Virtus.pro try something completely different on the top floor. They go for the admin take. They get the supporting angle there over on Spiral. But nothing really doing once that started to falter off. Once Joystick rotates and we start to see people work in from admin and try and handle Checkers, that's when you run into that problem. And the craziest thing about that as well, Carter, there really wasn't any utility built up there. There's really no ADSs, there's no deployable shields. It's simply just smokes and people with some pretty hot guns.
And even if there is an abundance of utility, think to maybe a team that has Fenrir in play, that has that Azami in play. You got Kiba barricades, F-Nots, so many different things on top of the ADSs, on top of the Goyo canisters and the smoke canisters. Both those 2 defenders, the Fenrir and the Azami, are banned off, and you're still left with a lot of potential utility. And even if that's not there, similar to Skyscraper, you're just stuck pushing through 2 positions that the defense can easily stack up on and put you in a disadvantage. Very difficult to clear if you end up losing that advantage. Joystick very good on the entry so far, and Virtus.pro, to their credit, 2 times now that Joystick has played the patient game and found a kill for his troubles. Even if that round didn't go their way, that is a nice sign for Virtus.pro, and still one of the biggest reasons why they might continue finding success. Cyber waiting, hoping this attacker walks through the gate and the timing does not go his way. Always doesn't know what just missed him.
Little inkling of old Consulate there, Carter. As this map used to be, hold every single window and hope you can kill the offense before they even touch a square foot of the map. This time around, though, not going to work out in their favor, but obviously won't get punished for it either, so they have to be happy with that at least. Virtus.pro are going to, at least for Pasha and Dan's sake, start things over on the admin side. We got a couple people on the roof, just trying to address what FaZe's setup is currently for this mid-floor site. But as we know previously, they really like holding this top floor. A lot of angles working their way down through. Virtus.pro tried to get the buck underneath, tried to clear things out and create their own angles as well as get some nice entries in on that mid-floor, but it was all for naught as FaZe put him to the sword.
10. Just barely getting away with the Cupid shuffle away from that C4. Good for him as this IQ can find, of course, a lot of electronics, but also specifically hunt down that Solus for Specchio scanner is activated. Such nice little interactions right like that. Virtus.pro got stuck on this side previously. FaZe are playing a little bit further back, so there is room for Virtus.pro to move in. They can start moving into long desk like this. That doesn't mean it's free. The Warden is just around that corner. Cyber looking to flank up Spiral Stairs, but now he's spotted. He'll rotate back down. These top floor defenders, Virtus.pro want to clear them. A minute 15 left, and they haven't taken down one.
Austin, changing mag, second floor. I'm reloading.
I'd be in checkers, but he's playing chess right now with his patience. Cyber's gonna find Always. Maybe the ace going down here, but they still have that backup of hard breach. They really, really like bringing Habana the majority of the time. VP does. Vidiking, what a shot onto Pasha. Shepard doing his best to try and burn out the position of this FaZe player, but it's just not working out for him. A stun out and a kill from Cyber and Souls. It's all up to Shepard now in a 1 versus 5. He'll get KDS for his troubles, but I highly doubt he makes it much further with Handy burrowing down. Not able to find him just yet here, but you can see the shadows. Shepard with a double, pre-fires as well as tries to find that player that is sitting outside, but all these angles as of right now going to be quite hard to deal with, and that's going to be it. Souls will take him down. FaZe with a round.
That's just a testament to FaZe's patience right there. What won them the game. You can see Virtus.pro are anticipating them to get aggressive, are anticipating them to peak. Joystick waits for Cyber. All the way back in round 4. Joystick waits again, in round 3. Joystick waits again in round 5. Does anybody peek? Nobody's biting. Nobody's home for FaZe in that round. There are players on the top floor, but they know if they don't give Virtus.pro that opening, they'll keep playing patiently. They'll keep waiting. They'll keep biding their time, hoping FaZe make a mistake. When all the time is gone and they have to start pushing in, FaZe were able to get the man advantage, take down Always first. 5v4, just hold your positions, play the man advantage, and FaZe get round 5.
And the patience was perfect there. And I also love the fact that they ramped everything up as soon as there was blood in the water as well. I mean, those kills started to come in hot and heavy, especially with that rotation from Cyber, as he was able to work his way in behind the IQ there and get that big kill as well. You can definitely tell FaZe are using this huge stage and this huge crowd to its fullest advantage, because I can tell you right now, Carter, nobody can hear a damn thing in this server.
No, they cannot. Especially if you're Virtus.pro and one of your teammates have fallen and all that follows is a deafening roar. You know whose side the crowd is on. You know what side you are.
What side are you on?
Well, listen, I'm on the side of a good game. I'm on the side of a lengthy series.
Oh, did you just hit us with the I hope everybody has a good time?
I hope I have a good time. That's all that matters to me, really. And I have a good time for the reasons I just stated. Drone goes out, C4 flies out in turn, doesn't find any Virtus.pro attacker, as always, I believe, backs up. See FaZe still holding on to that top floor, looking to contest some of these positions. We saw the winning strategy. Don't give Virtus.pro an opening. Let them play slow. Looks like they're doing it again.
And Vidiking here, I absolutely love this. Consulate, one of Pulse's best maps, doesn't matter what version, because you can sit all the way downstairs, and this cardiac sensor can see you all the way up on the 3rd floor. You can try and dictate your entire defense from one position, which is really, really strong. And that's exactly what Vidiking will be doing. He'll be trying to relay to FaZe what the position your Virtus.pro is, and we might see some calculated swings based off of that info.
We'll see when those happen.
Oh.
Dan able to find Cyber early on. That's the opening pick that they have succeeded almost every round so far. Is one exception, but with Cyber gone, that player on the roam. That is a nice little advantage for FaZe. C4 goes out. It's not all of FaZe's supply. And even though it is a 5v4, there's a lot for FaZe to rest on. That pulse, as you mentioned. The Zoto canisters, unfortunately, always able to cut through a hole. Handy didn't even use any. Flashes go out. Handy looking for the kill down inside of Soul. Handy fights back, 4v4. FaZe evening things up with a minute to go.
Handy's got hands. Able to take down Always. A nice find from him. More than likely telestrated. By Always getting tased as he tried to work through that electrified wall that he torched a hole into. Dan and the rest of the gang now have a sub-minute situation to try and figure out round 6, try and tie this up, make it a 3-3 before the half. Joystick works his way in where Always fell, begin working his way up. We saw just how deadly Handy was in his last engagement here, as he has 3 people to try and deal with.
3 people, but they might all be funneling through one doorway. That single reinforcement's not open. Pasha falls. It's the IQ. Dan, Joystick, and Shepard left. And All of
bang.
FaZe's defenders on this bottom floor ready and waiting to stop them from entering into the bomb site. Shepard's made his way in, flashes go out, he pushes for more, clearing all of these angles, and FaZe seem to retreat almost at the exact same time. Vidiking cuts down joystick, Shepard still finding nothing. Dan alongside him, grasping at straws. 2K for Handy, FaZe making a very solid comeback after round one, as aside from a number of impactless yet impressive frags, Shepard has not been much of a factor in these round successes so far, and it's been a team game from FaZe to end the half 4-2.
Yep, 4-2 for the Brazilian squad, and they are looking quite strong coming into the half as they were able to figure things out pretty quickly there. Virtus.pro with a few strategies that were pretty solid, I would say, especially with that initial round going their way off the back of that creative window play. But past that, it was FaZe all day, every single day as we work our way into the second half. FaZe will now be addressing the offensive side, but just to address Consulate as a whole, you could see just how much of a labyrinth was created. That's what I was talking about. This map can become a maze, especially as you start to make rotations and things like that inside of the basement, inside of this top floor. You can get lost. And I mean, even for Shepard, it helped him out. He snuck in behind people and was able to get a big kill there too, because you can just lose track of people so very easily.
I just love FaZe's adaptations after that second round loss to VP. They say, okay, VP are looking for openings, they're waiting for us to make a mistake, we just won't make one. We'll hold our ground, we won't push forward. This is the strength of FaZe. They can make the right call seemingly every time. When something goes wrong, you're able to identify it, adjust it, and then convert it into victories afterwards. It was an excellent call on their defenses. It got them those final couple rounds to end this half 4-2. Now we'll see how Virtus.pro does on the defensive side. I mentioned earlier the trades for VP on this top floor. The trades for VP in general on any map are very excellent. But Joystick was able to find a lot of ground in the opening picks, holding passive angles. We'll see what FaZe's strategy is instead.
Going to be splitting this, as you would expect on Consulate. Little window play, little drone to try and find an entry point for these entry players. Cyber, as we know, one of the best of the best right now when it comes to that entry capability. Currently sitting at 41 kills to 23 deaths on his entry. My God, I'll say it for you folks. That's absolutely ludicrous. So, more than likely going to be looking to do even more with this. Has to shoot that little tank at the back, and it'll stop the boogie drone. That's exactly what they'll do. But ripping up some more flooring there for FaZe. Pretty interesting fold, I would say, especially given the circumstances of what we saw on the previous attack. But as you can see, FaZe doing a lot of pushing and pulling here, trying to prod Virtus.pro into figuring out what exactly FaZe is going for. I really like this strategy so far.
If FaZe want to find success in this backside, they will need to remove Dan, of course, but always can be such a flexible player in this defensive setup. You can move him to the back to support Dan if he's facing pressure, to give him intel and to stall time. If it's on the front side, you can do that instead. Dan also has the shield as a fallback position. And those Banshees at the front with Pasha all the way inside of the A bomb site provide a little bit of a crossfire. Half the round now gone. FaZe haven't really found a whole lot. KDS has been here for so long, and he struggled to find any bit of access. Barbed wire goes through, tries to activate the Banshee and shoot it, but all it does is give away his position.
Most definitely. This time we're eating at them now. You have to get a move going here. Souls is going to work his way in spiral. You have Handy and KDS to the north, and they're going to be able to at least start looking for engagements. But Joystick, he hits his mark first. The Clash doing a great job of being able to read the situation for Virtus.pro. A lot of damage, but Handy will finally take down Pasha, making this a 4 versus 4. Making a 4 versus 3 as he'll take down Dan.
Excellent shots from Handy. Now opening up this round for FaZe is just like VP. They felt halted, they felt stopped at those doorways, and now they found a way in. They found a way through into the site, but there's still this clash. Of course, the utility, you've got the smokes, and for that Warden as well, if there were flashes on the board, he could be another big problem. But the bigger issue is that shotgun. You have Joystick up close, always applying pressure, and one final bit of utility for Shepard to make it even sweeter. Will any of it work for VP to stop this entry? No, he doesn't get a single kill. Shepard might trade it, but a massive missed opportunity, and the smoke grenade misses as well. 3v1, Vidiking gets the bomb down. The round ends the moment that clock hits 0. FaZe defying the odds in the late round. They go up 5-2.
Virtus.pro, a miscalculation there. as they simply thought we can get the M590 closed. We can probably kill one of these players on entry. If I can just trade myself out, we should be able to have Shepard end this round. It's all for naught, as FaZe, with albeit a pretty creative way to get through the door, you always gotta rug it out. You know, sometimes the prone is the best option. That's what we see. Hits the deck, finds the kill, joystick goes down, opens up the floodgates for FaZe as they kill the rest of Virtus.pro before the case can even hit the floor.
Handy, one of the most impressive players on this roster throughout the past few tournaments. Even if FaZe might not have made many finals this year, Handy has been so consistent. One of the top-rated players, the #1 player going into their semifinal match in Atlanta before they went out. Another great performance in Copenhagen. But really, everyone on FaZe has leveled up through this tournament so far. Vidiking, sure, might be on the bottom with a .99, but if basically everyone is within a stone's throw, 1 to 1.15, you're doing your job. Everyone's doing their job. Soul's having a great tournament. Cyber in prime form, what we know he's capable of. And you still have great performances out of Handy, KDS, and Vidiking. That round, a great example for Handy. And if you take a good, firm look at the scoreboard once we get back into this, you'll notice everyone on FaZe is at either 5 or 6 kills. If it has been a team effort this tournament to go up 5-2 over Virtus.pro, everyone has been getting in on the action.
Absolutely. FaZe have looked very impressive across the entire board here. Sadly, you cannot say the same about VP. Dan, their current top performer, sitting at 1 and 6. Not something you want to see for the Russians, especially when you look across the board and see Pasha and Always also not performing up to snuff. This is something that they might be able to fix. They've called this timeout. They're looking to see what they can try and do for the future. They're already down 3 rounds on FaZe's map choice. This is bound to get interesting as we're going to head back upstairs. Virtus.pro going to try and readdress what they just saw and see what they can do with FaZe potentially trying to take through admin again.
Well, that's the interesting question, because if you're just looking at the off lineup, Virtus.pro haven't changed anything. Malusi, Clash, Frost, Smoke, Warden, it's what we just saw, even down to the same guns. You're also going to have that Shield 05 ESA. Instead, it's FaZe changing things up. Virtus.pro, I'm sure, will give us maybe a new look in terms of some smaller adjustments in the strategy. And with the introduction of that Amaru on the CEO bomb site, there are a lot of places Cyber could fly into, but it's likely going to come down to that CEO window or the projector window on the opposite side.
Bomb diffuser has been
They
dropped.
need to do their homework, though, Carter, because if they don't, there is a frost mat that awaits him on that window. That could be a non-starter right off rip. Souls might be the one to deal with this, but I highly doubt they can get a Rotero drone all the way over inside of that room without somebody noticing. Still a lot of time here for FaZe to try and solve the puzzle. So don't start sweating things just yet. Good info on that there as well as VP. Building things up around that front desk for right now. You'll see Always constantly patrolling back and forth. He'll be looking over in CEO. He'll work his way back over towards Checkers to see which side needs help the most. KDS is going to work inside of admin, so we'll be holding things down inside of managers for a minute.
This is what we saw from KDS before, sitting inside of this position for about a minute in the round overall. Trying to deal with that Banshee, not doing much. And it came down to Handy to open things up to give FaZe that round, to give it their 5th. So seeing this right here, there isn't a lot I would think that KDS can do by himself to change things. But how will his team and how will this strategy change as well? We see Cyber on the opposite side of the map on that Amaru. I have to think FaZe are looking to apply pressure on this position, bring in Cyber for the backstab on the side once players start rotating over.
Most definitely, and it's not a bad shout either. He's got the shotgun in hand, and this Supernova is unbelievably deadly. Just make matters even better for FaZe here. The case is actually in Handy's hands, so you know that Cyber is more than likely going for kills on this entry. There is no way that he's going to be the one to try and put this case down unless circumstances call for it. It's going to be Pasha, though, that takes out Vidiking here in the dying minute.
Oh, a quick adjustment. You see Cyber aiming for that CEO window. That's one of the spots I predicted. But instead, with the loss of Vidiking, we see him now go up to the roof. Probably will consolidate with the rest of the attack, as Handy might have just found a gap. But no, it's a false one. Smoke canister goes out. Now FaZe are at DEFCON 5. You need another Handy multi-kill, it seems, to try and go big. Well, there's one. Another pre-fire. Handy might have just given FaZe the opportunity they need, but you have to keep respecting those toxic canisters. Shepard has 10 more seconds of denial in his pocket to stop FaZe, and without that advantage, Virtus.pro still in the driver's seat. They switch out for KDS. The last one goes out. Will it force him off? It will indeed. Shepard cuts down Cyber. It might be an effective 3v3, but this is finally some impact from Shepard. The last alive for quite a few rounds on the attack, but so active in Virtus.pro's first defensive win.
So well done from BP there, as they're able to take out that cap and immediately slow things down. Force FaZe to try and work this execute up against extremely strong utility game from Virtus.pro. I mean, this is as VP gets.
It is, and I really think if Vidaking doesn't fall, I think we might see a successful FaZe round. You see the Amaru go in the CEO window, has the shotgun on the backside, because if you noticed, once Virtus.pro saw where FaZe were coming from, Pasha, Dan, always, everyone except Joystick on that Warden was focused on this front side. But once Vidaking fell, Cyber had to rotate over. He couldn't leave his team to push in a 3v5 with him as an isolated person on the backside. A backstab works when you have an even man advantage, or even a man advantage. But in a disadvantage, it is a risky gambit, and you're making a lot of bets.
Absolutely. Much rather take their chips and try and cash things out somewhere else. You really can't doubt them for that situation at all, doing anything against them. FaZe more than likely making the proper decision. It was just that Virtus.pro had so much solid utility for a situation like that, especially with Shepard not only being more than capable of delivering those smokes, but also some very impressive frags out of that SMG-11 to even complicate things further for FaZe as they tried to readdress the site. Round 9 now as FaZe still looking to gather this penultimate point. They're going to bring in Dokkaebi now, try and assist with this clear with these logic bombs.
It's a good decision. You can see Virtus.pro are pushing out a little bit. There's the Solus, the Oryx, classic indications of operators looking to move a little bit off the site, but with those castle barricades as well, you can place them in positions on the first floor or the second floor to allow for a bit more easy mobility. Of course, force some utility from FaZe to destroy them, but if they're still up, cover yourself from angles that FaZe might be wanting to hold for a cutoff, or might be looking to take control in the map, make things a little different. Cyber, again, waiting for a call. Looking for guidance, waiting to see when he can open up that projector wall. Once that Dokkaebi call goes out, so does Cyber. Skeleton keys start ringing. No capitalization just yet, but it will force some movement from Virtus.pro, anticipating a clear from FaZe Clan.
This will at least be the top floor going the way of FaZe. Reload. Still do have some bodies around this mid floor, like Shepard. Well, some capable of rotating like Pasha through those hatches. I believe Shepard's just dropped off as well, as they will do their best to try and hurdle up on that basement floor. Solid consideration so far here from the squad as they'll continue to clear on down. Cyber more than aware that there could be some people playing over inside a piano, but it's actually Joystick that strikes first onto Souls. A nice impact out from the Goyo, hopefully locking up that wall for VP's sake.
Fifth opening kill, I believe, in the series for Joystick so far. Very strong, but as you can see, it hasn't always caused the round to go Virtus.pro's way. Still FaZe Clan in the lead, and look at the control they have on this middle floor. The hatch open by Virtus.pro to allow for rotations back to the site, but it's one that still FaZe have control of. They've also got this buck in position with a minute left. Start opening up the floorboards, applying pressure to those Virtus.pro defenders on the site. Still a lot of drones for FaZe to use as well to find these remaining bombs.
No more Logi bombs though. That's something that's quite useful when it comes to execution. Joystick, he's been flashed out and murdered by KDS. A nice find here for FaZe, making it a possibility for round 9 to go their way.
There's fire in his way though. KDS stuck for about 20 seconds, unless he wants to just sprint on through. But they brought it back to even. So many of these rounds, it's been an opening pick gone untraded immediately after, but then a follow-up to a 4v4, and more often than not, an even later follow-up to a 4v3 for FaZe. Dan in the power position, no kill going his way. A likely match point now for FaZe is Handy, the biggest performer on FaZe so far throughout Consulate. Flash goes out, Shepard blinded, another impactless kill. So much for Shepard, but so little impact for Virtus.pro. Map point for FaZe Clan, their pick looks beyond comfortable.
Shepard and Joystick. These guys performing so well for Virtus.pro right now, but they just do not have the backbone. The other 3 players currently are not stepping up to the plate in the way that they need to. whereas across the entirety of FaZe, they are unfazed. They have looked so dang good throughout this entire game so far. Even the rounds where Virtus.pro was able to nip it in the bud and slow them down and give themselves these opportunities to pick up these rounds, FaZe haven't let this affect them. They've continued to be able to readdress things, look at things in a different light, and try and find a way around Virtus.pro. They're doing a very swinging job as of right now.
This round is another reason, though, why FaZe Clan are so much of a threat. They were lacking progress. They had that middle floor, but a slower team might have just focused on the utility, opened up the floorboards with the skeleton key, done some more droning, and waited until it was only about 25 seconds left on the clock, gone for an execute, and maybe they get a 4v4, maybe they get a 4v3. Shout out to KZ, by the way.
I know that guy.
I know that guy, too. New kill record holder. And also, rematching with G2 tomorrow in our losers semifinals. But FaZe are able to pick up the pace, and what you've seen in these mid-rounds, on the attack especially, if they don't have ground, they throw some flashes down a corridor, send two-man to pressure a position, and often get the kill without losing a single body in the process. FaZe are so good at realizing, all right, we're not making progress, we need to do something quick, need to make a decision, and oftentimes that decision has resulted in not only a 4v4, but multiple times now a 4v3. Maybe Handy that time didn't have to get the 2K for it, but still, FaZe are good for it.
Their calculation in the moment is amazing as of right now. Consulate looking like it was most definitely the proper choice for FaZe in a moment like this, being able to reach all the way down in that mag, hold this out into the map hole when necessary. I would say upper bracket finals is most definitely that.
Most definitely the map to pull out your A game. In front of a sold-out crowd, all chanting your name, all believing that you and W7M can take it to the entire world. 2 NA teams gone. The EU team might have won, but another might fall if FaZe remain this dominant throughout the rest of the series. We're almost half the round to go. We have a middle floor defense. We saw FaZe, the masters of pace in the previous round. Cyber looking for another, just make an explosive start in the mid-game of round 10.
So gap found here, Handy with one. Oh, and Handy with two. Dan can't get it done. And this might be the moment for FaZe to take Consulate. They still have to worry about all of this verticality, but Handy, he uses it to his advantage. Can he get the fourth? Another one, but no. It'll be Pasha to try and slow things down, try and stop the bleeding with this last moment on the precipice for FaZe to take.
Pasha is still the difference maker in this round for Virtus.pro. He has top floor control, and while Handy might have temporarily acquired pressure and control inside of the bomb site, Pasha can still hold it. Denied the plant from up above. Shepard also holding with the shotgun, but they're starting to pressure Shepard, and Pasha's on 1 HP. He falls soon after. Cyber finds him through the floorboards, and Shepard again in an unwinnable 1vx. We know he's good for 2 at least, but every single time we found Shepard on Consulate in a 1vx, he finds 1, he finds 2, but he never wins. He's not closed on Consulate so far, and he's running out of time to bring Virtus.pro back from the brink on FaZe Clan's pick. Diffuser spotted, but he's looking out the window. FaZe playing patiently. 3 seconds to go. They know they don't even need to make a move. 7-3 for FaZe Clan. For a first play of Consulate, I don't think you could have asked for a better statement on map 1.
An unbelievably clean map from FaZe. Virtus.pro with really not a chance there. I mean, initially, that first round, it goes really well, but then it all starts to falter, it all starts to fall down. These cracks, especially the lower half of the scoreboard for Virtus.pro, not able to produce results, whereas FaZe were consistent and concise for the entirety of Consulate.
Just a ridiculous showing for FaZe, man. 7-3. I was hoping for a closer affair, but not the case. We have the desk to break what was undeniably a FaZe victory through and through.
Thank you very much, Stokes and versus Carter. Lynx, what a matchup that we have had here, and FaZe Clan utilizing full support of their Brazilian fans to take it over for European Virtus Virtus.pro. What a matchup, and that is still map number 1. Consulate being FaZe's pick. They've been able to win it out last night.
No, FaZe were looking tremendous through the defense rounds and going into those attack rounds. What you saw differently that VP wasn't doing, that FaZe was doing, FaZe was adapting. FaZe, whether that was the mid to late round or the early rounds, you saw FaZe when they messed up from a prior round, they immediately fixed it going into the next.
Yeah, we saw Virtus.pro have a little bit of a strategy going into that map, unique abilities with the Buck playing the vertical play. FaZe realized that, stopped the aggression, started slowing down, taking a little more of their time, and from then on, it was just FaZe the whole way through.
Opening picks and converting them into a victory, that's a tough piece.
And that's an interesting piece talking about those conversions is because VP, overall, there was 10 opening engagements. They contributed 7 to those, and they could not turn those rounds into rounds 1. And on top of that, only 7 of those were not traded, so that leaves VP in a power position of constantly playing the trade game back and forth and dwindling down that and coming away with a round that they just could not seem to close.
When FaZe swapped up their play style, it looked like VP was resorting, kind of panicked, resorting back to their old style of play that we talked about so much, about how slow they are, how much time they take. And we didn't really see too much confidence individually from them, especially when they got into defense. They were letting FaZe pretty much run all over them.
You know who was confident, though, on the FaZe side? It's Handy. We have a replay. Fox, please, can you guide us through it?
I sure can. I mean, we talked about Handy before the pre-show on how good he is at, once he does his job, he's able to just go loose. So he obviously did his job. They got him through admin, they had full top floor control, and he was put in this position where he doesn't need to necessarily die or do anything out of the sword, out of the blue. So he stays alive, and in his little position, his little box, he gets more of an advantage for his team. He gets 3 whole picks, and then when he trades over to get that opening, we were like, how's he gonna get into projector? There's a shotgun on the other end. He works with his teammate to go prone, 1 high, 1 low. They were able to get the kill, they get the sight, they get the plant, and that guy from start to finish has been phenomenal this whole event, especially since he's changed his role since Atlanta from here.
I mean, seeing those drop shots reminding me of the old days of Blacksing and Goga in those days, remember them all. But we're gonna close things down for this map. We'll come and talk about our second one, but first, Alphamai is standing on Telestration to break rounds down.
Thank you very much, Milosh. And indeed, despite Virtus.pro losing that map, they did show some interesting stuff in attack that I want to show you guys. We're on a CEO defense right now, and Virtus.pro is attacking, and you want to see where the diffuser is. You want to plant here exactly on CEO window. For this to work, you need multiple covers. The first one here is coming from the window itself on the close swing from a defender. Then you want to have someone backstab from yellow stairs. You want to have someone here on the connector window, pressuring connector, and then at the same time, someone below a buck to do some vertical play and play here to contest the safe position in CEO. Now let's take a look at the round and how it plays out on VP's side. You have exactly what I was mentioning. Here you have always covering the close swing and Shepard going in for the execution, but the problem is they're playing against the smoke, so they need to wait out. So he just jumps back and it's fine. You spend all of the utility. The smoke is throwing gas grenade, but look, 145, it's fine. No more gas grenade. You can go for the execute, and this time it's for real. You have Bug that's downstairs, that's gonna hold the meeting rotation, and it's gonna actually get a pick from that, because you're pressing the defenders to go and challenge that plant. But you're ready for it, and you're gonna punish it not only once, but a second time with that Bug onto the meeting connection here. And then at the same time, it's completely down. FaZe cannot do anything. It's 5v2. Perfect execution and really easy to set up if you're at home and play ranked on Consulate. Thank you very much, and if you want to see more from FaZe versus Virtus.pro, Map 2 is coming after a short break.
Welcome back, everybody, to Sixth Invitational 2024, live from Ginásio de Ibirapuera in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And we just saw another map go the way of the team that is most favored by our audience here in our gymnasium. And that is none other than FaZe Clan. They'll take map 1 on Consulate against Virtus.pro. Reminder, this is the top seed matchup. Whoever wins this game makes it directly into the grand final, and FaZe are 1 map away from doing so. Welcome back. We'll talk about map number 2 now and set things up for Cafe Dostoyevsky. I'm Milos, with me are Fox and Laxing. 2 professional players that'll guide us through some of their perspectives. We're going to talk about fixing issues. It's clear for Virtus.pro what can be done, Lax.
Well, a big one is the conversion rate. I mean, again, they had 7 of those opening engagements from the total of 10 of going into that last map. They lost those rounds. If you can just run away with that man advantage, that's going to put you in such a successful position, because when you get rid of someone, and for the viewers out there, when you take someone off the board, naturally, sure, you know, that makes sense. But the biggest thing is, the big key takeaway is you are forcing someone out of a position and rotating into a new position, and that leaves an exposed area in the site or the attack in general.
Yeah, with VP having that many opening kills and not being able to convert it, you might ask yourself at home, how come they aren't able to win these rounds? And the answer is that VP is such a structured team that they are very limited in the amount of flexibility that they can do. When you get that opening pick, sometimes it's harder because the other team, specifically FaZe in this instance, has a lot more time to move around the map, a lot more freedom, and it's hard to keep a point on where FaZe is going. Now, when it comes to VP, even though they're getting that first opening pick, they're letting those gaps be exploited by FaZe. And when it comes to a map like Cafe, thank God for VP. That map is very difficult to get your little openings exploited.
But oh boy. Good catch there, Fox. And you know what? One thing that is difficult to deal with on Cafe, and actually to implement properly, is vertical play. It is oh so important, top or bottom, no matter what site it is. And from your perspectives as players, you're trying to bring things back after a tough time to adapt. Now you have vertical play on top of it. How do you bring that into your mind?
I mean, the biggest thing is just that vertical play, like you were saying, is if they're in a basement, you want to start from the top floor and work your way all the way down. And that's the beauty of Cafe as well, is that it's very more structured, it's just more structured overall compared to Consulate. Whereas again, you're going top down, perfect. And then if you need to start from the bottom, then you work your way up, and you're forcing positions and people out of positions that they can't sit comfortably in.
And the only lifeline for VP right now looks to be the vertical play, because on Consulate, that's the life that they were showing a little bit in those early rounds. Also, to add one step further, FaZe has been doing a great job at adapting to what VP throws at them. But when it comes to the adaptation, Cyber is a big part of it. And a map like Cafe, it's very difficult for Cyber to find openings into the site because it's limited by the staircases and the floor-to-floor.
Adaptation versus hard-coded strats. That's the name of the game between these 2 squads. Are we seeing a map 3 or not? Or the match's almost ready?
I mean, given how Cafe is played, and it forces a lot of engagements, it forces a lot of crossfires, and that's where VP excelled rapidly going in border against M80 and playing against everyone else. I do see a Cafe being a hard structured map for VP that they could end up working with as long as they play together.
I think VP has definitely taken a hit after map 1. I think it'll be a FaZe 2-0.
All right, there it is. Let's see what you guys think at home. Laxing, Fox, thank you very much. Our casters are ready to take it back. Enjoy.
If you were still in the nostalgic days where Joystick and Shepard and Consulate were seemingly as good as peanut butter and jelly, FaZe just showed us that that should not be the case. But VP have old reliable of Cafe up next, Sam, and it's their last chance to turn it back and bring us to a map 3.
Most definitely is, Carter, but I can tell you as somebody that did a lot of VOD reviewing last night, Cafe is actually a pretty good FaZe map. So, honestly, I don't think that Foxe is far off. I think there is a world, and a pretty big one at that, where FaZe take this 2-0.
I agree. I think FaZe have been so strong this whole tournament, only dropping 1 real series. Sure, maybe some maps, but ever since then, FaZe are looking to prove that they have it this tournament. It might be Virtus.pro's pick, but with how strong FaZe showed they were on Consulate, 7-3 if you're just tuning in. And despite going down early on in so many of these rounds, Sam, they were able to fight back because of static VP play, but also quick and almost effortless decision-making from FaZe.
Yeah, the mid-round adaptations, their ability to read the moment and know what they can and can't get away with. That's what leveled FaZe up on Consulate. Now, Cafe, a little bit more when it comes to moving parts, especially with your roam clear, your utility, what you want to try and bring to the table. And so far, we're finding out what we won't have access to. Grim, Ying, and Azami all off the board, and again, all of this making a heck of a lot of sense. I also really like this Aruni band coming out here.
I'm not gonna lie, I saw Grim, Ying, Azami, and I'm like, all right, are we gonna have the Fenrir again? Are we just gonna repeat this band phase? I mean, that makes sense for a Virtus.pro matchup, from being entirely honest with you. But the Aruni to follow that up. We see Aruni, I think, very classically on Cafe. When you think of that extension into Cigar, you know, the castle barricades, the Aruni gates, holding inside of the Humidor and also inside of Christmas, very common. But also we see Aruni gates in positions like the reading doorway. If you want to go for a default plant through that reading door, if an Aruni gate's there and unfortunately the defensive team has wasted too much of your time, you might have to eat that damage or burn just a little bit of remaining utility that might make the difference between finding an opening inside of the site and being shut out of it. Oh!
King.
I know Fox is losing his mind right now, because I know in the NAL, I remember when Fox hit the Clash one day, and he got a round-winning and game-winning clutch off of it, and King is doing the exact same thing, Sam.
Well, it's like once upon a time in Hollywood. Hey, right there.
5 seconds left before insertion.
Hey, I've seen this one before.
Have indeed, my friend. And a very brilliant idea. We've seen a couple of times where pros have decided to hide some ops this tournament. I9, another one, ended up hiding the R6 and had a huge moment. So things like these mind games, folks, this is what Siege is all about. Chess, not checkers. That's what makes this FPS so much different than the rest.
So much different. We'll see if Virtus.pro bring more of the same from Consulate and end up suffering for it. The moment FaZe switched things up, the moment they started changing their tune, Virtus.pro seemed like they didn't have a shot at winning that series. FaZe started playing patiently, and on the attack were able to make quick decisions to get their man advantages back to a 4v3, flood in, and capitalize off of them almost immediately after. Opening picks are not a guarantee for Virtus.pro, and that's such a worrying trend from map 1 to have looming over your head in map 2, down 1-0 in the series. So even if we see VP have success early on, it is not a guarantee. It is more likely that they will need finding players like Handy and Cyber or Vidiking even in combination and not one-offs. They want a shot.
You can see the turtle that's been built up for FaZe on this bottom floor. They've extended themselves out. They've got KDS inside of VIP. You have Souls playing inside of Bakery. Handy will be the player over inside of Kochek as well. So they've got all of their bases covered when it comes to this bottom floor. It's all going to be about the transition speed of Virtus.pro. That's what FaZe is limit testing right now. And I especially love the fact that they did hide that Clash because of this. If Virtus.pro aren't aware and they get on bad timing, Clash will make things inevitably worse.
I mean, VP don't have a reputation for being slow, right?
Right?
Right, guys? That's not something that could potentially, I don't know, be exploited by FaZe by hiding that Clash, as Sam just mentioned. Who knows? Well, if they weren't aware of it before, they're certainly aware of it now. Vidiking just sitting in the corner in the exact position you'd expect. If VP go for a freeze or drop, which considering there's... Is he also hiding an Evil Eye? He is, look at this. He's trying to hide an Evil Eye behind that Clash shield so the Brava can't hack it.
This is so smart from FaZe. Not only is Clash an amazing deterrent for a situation like this, but these Evil Eyes are great to try and defend when it comes to those plants. But finally, they'll try and break through. That Evil Eye will go the way of the offense. They'll start hazing up that Clash. Good damage coming in on Vidiking.
He's forced Vidiking off the position, and now Virtus.pro started moving on in. But Cyber with the first pick, Vidiking being melted down! Always two Evil Eyes in a dream has found the Clash, but FaZe are still in it. All that good work on those clutch drones, and it might all be for nothing. A nice flank from Handy. Utility play will not save you. FaZe have the guns to make it work. Round 1 on Cafe goes to FaZe Clan.
The hyper focus on Coffee, as well as those Evil Eyes in sight with that Clash. They think that they've done it, Carter. They think they've scooped out the site. But little do they know that FaZe are not even close to done in the round. A nice rotation there. Up red stairs, gets them a big kill. And Virtus.pro still having to transition through that freezer hatch. Sends them right to execution. A very nice find, very tricky here for Virtus.pro to get that initially, but still very well done in that regard. It was just FaZe that made sure to keep this strategy wide, keep Virtus.pro honest in this situation that garners them the first round.
And even if you find that clash, if white stairs is still a factor, Handy's still on the roam, you're gonna get surrounded, you're gonna get encased.
Entombed, one could say.
Indeed. Virtus.pro now need to climb out of the grave. Again, 7-3 loss on map 1. Now down 0-1, only one round on their own pick. But a very slow attack with a lot of counterplay from FaZe, both in their positioning and the utility they brought. Vidiking on this flash again. I imagine he'll play a bit more of an active presence this time. Maybe find himself on that top floor on the cocktail side, contesting a little bit. You don't often see a clash on the reading room bomb side, Sam.
Look at this setup from FaZe here, my friend. Clash Smoke, Legion, Goyo. If there was a lineup that you could get from the stars to try and fight up against Virtus.pro and their style of play, this is it right here. This is their kryptonite. This is going to slow everything down. You get down to the dying moments of a round and you have this lineup. Oh, it's so Jover. It's Jover.
Reloading.
Vidiking taking the position, just held by KDS. Only probing for info, a very safe method to do so. Clash not as impervious as Monty. One puncher, one explosive, and she's very exposed to an astute student of Rainbow Six gunplay. We'll see what Virtus.pro can do. It's going to be another full clear. They're going to move from the cigar side over on top of reading room. There's players to cut through, of course. You have Cyber holding us in the side of the shield. The utility might be great, but a very standard setup from FaZe to defend reading room. The Clash may be the only real exception to the norm, but all the positions that, if you were to look at this site 3 years ago, 4 years ago, it's all right here.
Cyber gone fishing, but be able to find too much. No bait on the hook, I guess. Joystick has to deal with some fire here right around Cigar. No worrying about FaZe trying to keep things more than capable over on the pixel end, and Cyber looking to deliver. Free fires over towards that position. Selma's in now, some goo mines as well as FaZe doing such a solid job of once again putting Virtus.pro onto bad timing. And look at that lineup. It's going to be such an issue for them as they try and execute. Souls is going to go down, but those Goyo canisters will persist.
I got you!
Dan finds one. Highest rated player for FaZe throughout this tournament, but it doesn't guarantee anything. FaZe aren't worried by this. There's still the smoke detonating, but Joystick's found a gap, but it doesn't work! Handy cuts him down. Souls might be the highest rated going into this tournament, but Handy's been the MVP, and so Virtus.pro will go for attempt number 2. Vidiking sees the writing on the wall and moves back down the hatch. Virtus.pro have vertical control with 30 seconds left, but this is the situation we worried about. The Aruni ban honestly favoring Virtus.pro in this instant, and now the opening kills as well. Here's Cyber. Waiting on brown stairs. They know he's there. They've got a Z-ping on his position. So VP are aware of it, but with fire in their way, will they become too focused on the front? Dan needs to cover, and Dan is there. Shepard moves on in, 5 seconds to get this bomb down. Will KDS find it? He's got to rotate through pillar, but Virtus.pro have his position locked down. 1 HP in the 1v3. VP, just like Consulate, seemed good to at least tie the game early on for FaZe. As with VP now moving outside of the building to rotate back up top. They take their first round on the attack, but it's the rounds after on Consulate that told the story, and it's the rounds after this too that VP need to make a more compelling argument.
And all things considered, an amazing round there from Virtus.pro. There was so many things in their path, even some of the picks on that top floor going the way of FaZe, but VP able to gather that control on the top floor, strip back the flooring, start to open things up for a plant possibility, but not only that, get rid of these utility pieces in good time. The biggest thing there was that FaZe actually had to start using gunpowder. Handy only having one smoke, as well as all that verticality working its way in. Virtus.pro able to pick apart FaZe from that top floor. And not only that, still had that drone downstairs, Carter, still had that redundancy to know that a flank can come through from somebody like Cyber, and they chop it off immediately. So well done for VP, especially from what we saw in map 1. Still being able to roll that into map 2, keeping yourself focused and making sure you are going down that checklist. That's what makes that round possible for Virtus.pro.
And just good to see them finally get around after such a drought on Consulate. So little success, it seemed. We talked about the opening picks, the desk did as well, but I think it's also important to talk about the performances going into this map. Dan, Pasha, always, all are basically at 1 kill by the end of the game, except for maybe 1 or 2 right at the end. And while Shepard was upwards of 14, 15 kills, most of those were in 1v4s, 1v5s. That Shepard's a great player. He can get 1 or 2 if they're given to him, no problem. But a vast amount of his kills didn't affect the round because the round was already lost. Joystick was really the main guy who was consistently having impact, and even then, it's not enough to be that one player putting up a good performance against a team that is all playing together, all fighting to win that map. That's what FaZe were before. Maybe VP have found something now.
On this drone game, already dwindling right now for Virtus.pro. We saw how solid it was in that last round, able to shut down Cyber on that flank up round stairs. They only have 3 drones now, Carter. Only a single minute has went away, and they don't have a single info op in this offensive lineup.
I mean, Sam, maybe an IQ to find something, who knows at this point. Like you said, 2 drones, no Dokkaebi, no Lion. If you thought VP were slow before, I've got bad news, fellas. They're not going to speed up their pace now. Maybe they will, though. We saw the adaptations from FaZe. If they were stalling, they'd push. Very quickly, they'd flood in and pressure a position. VP aren't that kind of team. With some of the aggression we've seen from Pasha, some of the small changes that make a big difference in a tournament, we see them try to do that and not just fall to the trappings of their playstyle. Cyber anticipating a little bit of a gap. He's pushed up ever so slightly in Pixel, but he doesn't really need to. Handy down below as well. This C4 will send one out, but it's shot in midair. Instead, Vidiking with the start, VP on the back foot in the final minute.
Nice find from him, and a beautiful kill from Handy from the hatch. Shepard, a lot of fodder coming in on him as well, so lose a decent chunk of his life. Cyber, can he go for 2? He knows where that player is, but he won't be able to get it. It'll be KDS instead, as FaZe turn it up to 11 and claim the round.
The intel damage done to Virtus.pro cannot be overstated. 2 drones before we've even reached half the round gone, and you're trying to full clear? It could not be worse. It quite literally could not be worse for a team who is often very dedicated to the overall strategy to lose your #1 tool of doing so, your drones, your intelligence gathering tools. Maybe if they had a Dokkaebi or a Lion, it's a little bit easier. But when you're down to 2 drones so early, Cyber can get aggressive and go unaccounted for. Handy playing inside a pillar right below the new balcony, can throw a C4 up and get a kill from that position with the gun instead of the C4. Because he's gone unread, he's an unknown quantity to Virtus.pro. Such a good job from FaZe there to deny that strong tool for VP. And I see a winning formula for FaZe right there. If VP are going for full clears and they keep losing their drones, I imagine more rounds like that will go FaZe's way.
Homie in the crowd had the 50 Cent shirt on.
10 seconds to go.
Virtus.pro, speaking of 50 Cent, probably asking for as many men as they can muster to try and help them with this situation, as it is not a good one. 2-1 in favor of FaZe. These defenses coming hot and heavy, at least for these last 2 here. Virtus.pro at least able to hold a candle as of right now, but that last round, absolutely egregious. You cannot have that happen again. More than likely going to need an info op for the future. That's what we'll have always here on the Dokkaebi.
That's also why, look at what FaZe have brought. They said, oh, when you have a low drone count, you start throwing rounds? Well, I guess it's time to bring Soulless Mutant Mozzie to the party. And you know what? We'll even give our own defense some intel as well. We'll have souls on those yokais. Sure, it's a bit more of an indirect means, but KDS can even look through the flashes and look for an opportunity on Pasha. But he vaults back in. A lot of missed shots, but still put the Ram down to 1 HP. And he looking for the finisher. Such a clean duo. Nice bit of coordination to start out for FaZe.
VP, they're not gonna let you breathe. They will not, I promise. A triangle choke right now from FaZe, and they are just squeezing the life out of Virtus.pro. Every opportunity that they can find, they will exploit. And so far, so damn good from the Brazilians.
VP again down to 5 drones as we cross the minute mark. We'll see how much more they lose. There's still all the bits of utility we mentioned earlier still in play. In terms of manpower, the C-Force from below inside of the site could also be a big problem. All of Virtus.pro soft destruction will have to be these breaching charges or secondary shotguns in the hands of Joystick. Because they lost that ram, no boogie drones for cutting open the front of Bakery and getting long angles into the site. It has to be the very few bits of utility you still have or the time-consuming shotgun. So FaZe can play patiently on the top floor and set themselves up exactly like they did in round 1, holding White Stairs, holding Check, holding Brown, and forcing VP to flood.
3 drones remain for Virtus.pro. A Logi bomb still in Always pocket in a moment here on White Door. Dan could have had KDS, but it's KDS that has Shepard. Always will go down 2. It's a 5 versus 2. No one can deal with this VIP position. Joystick trying to assist from the rear. Dan still with a moment here, an opportunity, but he cannot find the shots. This shield play, practical perfection. Oh, KDS, the things you do to me, KDS. A flawless round for FaZe.
And if you take out the clash, it's basically round 1 all over again at an even better margin for FaZe. They waste time on the drones, on a spawn peek, on a bit of coordinated aggression to start. They cut down the ram, the main source of soft destruction. I'd take a tactical timeout too, because maybe you learned lessons from round 1. Maybe you had a different game plan, but FaZe gave you a new look, found your weakness in the previous round, and when they started repeating bomb sites, they said, no, actually, we'll make the next move. We'll make the changes, and you're gonna be worse for it. Oh, you're gonna be worse for it, all right.
Most definitely. And you know, Carter, we've talked a lot about FaZe at this tournament. Ad nauseum, you could say, especially when it comes to the desk and just every caster respectively, because of how amazing this team has looked. Not only on an individual basis, but as a team. Their ability to adapt inside of a game, understand what you are good at, what you're weak at, the way that they can work their way around you, manipulate you, not only with utility, but map control as well. It's on full display here on Cafe. Virtus.pro thought that they were going to have a safe haven here. On Cafe, it's anything but.
No, it is not safe whatsoever for Virtus.pro. On this Bakery bomb site too, what a shot by KDS there. A split second above the shield and then he ducks back down. And that narrow window of kill goes his way. FaZe is set up so strong and they said, all right, back to the clash. Let's see what Vidiking can do defending this raiding bomb site. And it worked so well before. We see an adjustment, KDS on that dock. So there is still some aggression if they do damage to the drones. We can see KDS get aggressive, put himself in a position where he might take some damage and VP might need to clear him, but he can stim himself back up and start falling back. But VP still struggled to gain ground on reading with this cash into play. 50 seconds really before they started moving across that top floor. Why bother changing a strategy completely if it already worked so well?
And FaZe have struck Virtus.pro so hard, they've reset their brain, and now we're playing in 2020 again. Buck, Nomad, Sledge, Habana, and Zofia. We rarely see lineups like this nowadays because there's so many utility pieces on the offense that you can have access to. Things like Lion, things like Doke, things, I mean, just across the board. This is just such a old guard lineup. And VP want to try and make the most of this situation. A Nitro cell out, it won't find Dan.
Sire will be able to back up as well. You saw him playing the pixel position before. Normally you have that deployable shield and you'll just hold there as long as you can. Cyber may be going for something a little more fluid, a little less static. It might have worked before, but he was still able to end up closing out that reading round inside of the site. KDS goes for the hop out, but always has been down below. He baited out this very run out. He knew that once FaZe read his presence here, they might go for that aggression, so he goes on the rappel instead, cuts down KDS. That's a brilliant read and anticipation by Virtus.pro.
Very well done. Doesn't mean that FaZe is going to slow down at all, though. We still have these players over here on white stairs. That drone will get picked up by the clash of Viking. Souls and the rest of the gang going to do their damnedest to try and hold on to this portion of the map, folks. It's so unbelievably important when it comes to getting a case down. If they are capable of not only holding on to it, but also getting some kills from this position, it could change up the fate of round 5.
Viking hears some Exkyros going off, and he said, I think I'll move up, thank you very much. I think I'll look to see what the attack is doing. FaZe fighting back. FaZe fighting back. The Russians are getting nervous. Souls might have their number. Cyber with another. Virtus.pro, and where their advantage has started completely slipping away. Smoke canister downs Pasha, but the way he was almost last alive, you could easily confuse the two. Always pushing up white stairs, almost finds a third for his troubles. Downs Viking with the lifeline, has intel on another. A very odd position at the moment where he's able to tome another. 4K 1v5 in the making, potentially. He's got these breach charges, 30 seconds left, no drones in his pocket though. So no intel to find Souls. The Warden can catch him off guard. That's the one thing going FaZe's way at the moment. As long as Always holds out, he's able to react in time, Sam. He might just win the best clutch of the tournament. Breach charge up above. Always going for the drop. Souls, don't overplay your hand. The shots go out. Always trying his best. But Souls is too damn good. On fire indeed. FaZe are shutting out Virtus.pro almost 2 maps in a row.
I mean, what the hell was that? What is that top floor execute from Virtus.pro? They worked their way in red. FaZe have the full read. The entire strategy. Long angles working their way in from Cocktail. Great positioning over on the Heaven balcony. Souls with 2 impressive kills. There's no other way to put it. And it's so insane, especially with Virtus.pro able to get this beautiful opener they're found. But Souls, look at this right here. 2 beautiful kills coming from that same position. VP is not capable of working their way back into this round, always with almost a moment. But you can only think, what if one other player on Virtus.pro did anything for them in that round when it came to the frags? That's more than likely a VP round, but we're living in a FaZe world, baby.
What if somebody did something different on VP, but what if FaZe just weren't peaking at the right time? And I don't mean peaking, I mean double meaning there. Could mean peaking, as in going for the gunfights like Souls did, but I mean peaking in terms of performance, in terms of strategy. W7M and G2 might have started falling off a little bit. G2 after SI, W7M still performing great in this tournament, still in our losers semi tomorrow, but a little more questions around their performance than there were before. But FaZe have kept the faith with their system. They've performed consistently, and with everyone performing individually when they need to, when the strategy forming exactly as it should, this is a team that lifts hammers. This is a team that starts eras defined by their play. FaZe need to do a lot more to reach that area. They're certainly starting here against VP.
This could be the start for the Brazilian squad. And what a beautiful story it would be. Six Invitational 2024, a hammer for Brazil. I mean, what if we have them versus W7M? What a moment that would be. We have W7M versus G2 tomorrow as well. So much action still to be had, but one of these teams going to have a nice break on Saturday for Championship Sunday. As of right now, it's looking like FaZe Clan all across the board. Virtus.pro trying to readdress things, trying to reinsert once again on this red stairs / Christmas side.
You saw the initial move, put that air jab, knock Cyber out of position. Now the track stingers go out, but he's not worried. He's still taking gunfights. He's Doc, for Christ's sake. This is the guy that's made to take fights in this position since the beginning of the game. Joystick moving down red stairs at the moment, not finding much. But FaZe find Dan. Can't finish off the kill right now. But if you've had trouble with conversions for VP when you've got the pick, well, great. Now you lost it.
And Dan, unfortunately for him, he's been practically asleep this entire time. He might be resible now. So we'll be able to take down Souls as he finally flew a little too close to the sun. Joystick a little love tap there just to make sure. Oh my, always, what a shot out of him. Cyber tries to swing through these track stingers. Won't be able to find much. A Nitro Cell will claim Pasha upstairs though and make this a 2 versus 4.
KDS looking to get aggressive, knows the Zophia's outside on that balcony, but the concussion will force him back. No need to overplay your hand just yet. A 2v4 is a delicate position. 2 might be better than 1, but you still need to play everything right. Joystick focused down below, Handy pushing up, moving all the way across, but they found a beat on his position. He's now going instead for the movement through Freezer. Taking a gunfight with this Gridlock. He's got to isolate something, but he's looking the wrong way. Nobody on white stairs to meet that SMG-11, and KDS falls. A rough half for Virtus.pro, but something bright to move into the swap. They take the final round on their attack, going into their defenses.
Finally able to shut down these swings from FaZe. And even then, still some moments that they were looking to try and grasp at those straws, Carter, and draw themselves back into this round. I mean, you can think about moments like that Hell Door swing that we could have seen them take out always, sitting right on the balcony. That could have opened the gates again for FaZe. But this time around, Virtus.pro able to shut down a lot of what FaZe was going for with these aggressive swings, but also more than likely meaning that we'll have to see what they can do down the line. As obviously we're going to be going into the side swap here, so Virtus.pro able to at least muster one more offensive round before going into the defensive half.
A very workable position, by the way. Very workable indeed. Cafe might traditionally be thought of as defender-sided, but if you get those 2 attacks and have strong defenses to rely on, a 4-2 half into a regulation win for the only 2-win attacking team can still very much be possible. We'll just have to see what's possible for VP, because they had this same half last time, Sam. They had the 4-2, and we said, oh, maybe on these defenses they'll start building something convincing, and then even in rounds where it seemed that everything was screaming Virtus.pro will win this, FaZe found a way back in and ended the series far earlier than it seemed like it would have.
Absolutely. When it comes to Cafe right now, folks, it's actually one of our most even maps in the map pool. Nighthaven is right down the middle. The follow-up, Cafe at 53%. There's a chance, there's an opportunity for both of these teams. It's who reaches out and takes it. And I love moments like these, guys. This is what we watch esports for. Moments like this, it's down to the half, it's a side swap, it's a completely different ball game for both of these teams respectively, as they now have to readdress Cafe in its entirety.
Both teams an opportunity to give us a look that might define the half. In the case of FaZe, it certainly did, moving up 5-2. After that, it seemed Virtus.pro were going to need to fight for every single round and only win them at a razor-thin margin. At least here for FaZe's idea of how to deal with this mining and dining bomb site. They're looking to pressure a lot of different points at once. You see some presence by Red Hats. We'll see Cyber and Handy drop down, but you also have somebody over on the White Hall Repel. Might see some cocktail pressure later if they find anybody on the backside. There is Joystick roaming inside of Reading, and Dan over on the cocktail balcony alongside Always. There's a lot of different positions FaZe can take up to start fighting these defenders, but at the moment, no. They'll decide on one clear decision. Cigar is where they'll start. Maybe they'll rotate, maybe they'll adapt, but at least in the mid-game, this is where FaZe are making their home.
FaZe doing a great job of propelling themselves forward here for the Christmas position. No deaths just yet on either side respectively. Cyber, nice little castle barricade here should keep him up and at him. Nice find onto Always. Looking for more inside a cocktail, and it's gonna be Pasha with the fadeaway. Amazing shots out of him as they will equal footing here going into the last minute.
Boogie's ready to shred. Still options for a retake later too. We're reaching that point in the round where things stand just at a balance but can easily be disrupted. If FaZe gets the advantage, they could flood in and succeed. If VP rotate and retake, might be the end for their attack. Handy knows someone's downstairs. Not only does he have the air jab right there, he's not leaving anything to chance. He'll hold that position while KDS does the work on the top floor. But to Virtus.pro's credit, there's not a lot of time left, and with the crossfires and the angles they have, they can hold out the site, but there, Handy's found Shepard, 0-5 so far, and with Pasha off site, that makes this basically a 4v2. Joystick's also down below, but Vidiking's anticipated this. The impacts are useless, but the bullets are true. Vidiking shut down, and this is how VP can hold it. Dan trying to fight off the Ram. Souls falls. KDS needs to be clinical. He has to cover. Joystick has found Handy with the diffuser, but he's shut down. 1 HP for Dan in the post plant. Handy's been so clinical this entire series, and it only requires one bullet to add a 9th to his tally. Worst players have achieved 4 more. The easiest 1v1 of Handy's career gets FaZe another 5-2 half.
And the crowd goes wild. FaZe all day, every day, especially here with this Brazilian audience, as they will take yet another round. 3 rounds separate these two teams. And for Virtus.pro, there is not an option to slow this down. They have to stay on this train. They've already used their timeout. They can only try and make adjustments amongst themselves going forward. FaZe so far looking so solid, so good, even in moments like this, where Virtus.pro were able to battle back with some solid creativity. FaZe with some hot guns, able to take round 7, push us on into round 8, as once again, they are up by 3 rounds.
And you know how it went on map 1 when FaZe were comfortable. They didn't let VP get back in that game. VP got 1 more. And then it ultimately ended 7-3. And here for FaZe, I imagine they're feeling pretty damn comfortable on Cafe at this scoreline. We'll see Vidiking take a very familiar position on a shield, in which he likely will not have a gun in hand for the majority of the round. He likes those shield ops. He likes giving intel to the rest of his team to set up all those other players for success. But with how much soft destruction we have for FaZe, we have the Ram and the Buck, we're seeing middle floor presence. We're seeing that ceiling opened up.
Just looking across the board as of right now for VP Lynx, it's like a completely different matchup from what we had on Consulate. It was Joystick and Shepard that were getting so much done, but now it's the exact opposite. Shepard 0 and 5, Joystick 3 and 6. Dan, Pasha, and Always the ones that are standing the test of time here on Cafe. But again, it has to be a full team effort. When it comes to FaZe, their consistency across the board is what makes them so dangerous. It doesn't matter who has that moment in the limelight, they're all more than capable.
Anybody can show up on the squad. KDS, Handy, Cyber Souls, Vidiking, even with big moments. They might come more in 1vx's than necessarily kills at the end of the game, but he can have his impact as well. But considering we have this Monty and we don't have a bakery push manifesting, I imagine, assuming that FaZe end up looking to end somewhere in the freezer position, we'll see that Monty drop down that freezer hatch. Those Gumine, Sam, we've seen them be the undoing of not only Monty pushes, but specifically for FaZe on Cafe against G2. You need to be careful. Those Gumines aren't the undoing again, especially if FaZe take too long to execute.
Getting some flashbacks indeed. Vidiking will be the one to open up the hatch inside of Dining as well. A minute and 18 seconds remain as he will start to work down White Stairs. If you have to worry about things like that VIP position, we saw Dan on. The shield will be eliminated here. Does have the FMG9 in hand though, so has some more ammo when it comes down to it at the end of the day.
I will say a very interesting decision. Not seeing that shotgun on close quarters, but with that long angle into freezer, it definitely makes sense. He does have the more ammo, as you said, to try and use those gunfights. This is why we love FaZe, though. Look at all these different angles they're bringing. They've got the guy going for the backstab down Brown Stairs, Vidiking distracting at the front, Handy looking to find a gunfight. He downs Always, but it's instead Cyber the first to fall. Dan's able to find one. Souls and Handy poking and prodding at this defense. Joystick able to stop KDS on the bottom of Red Stairs. So VP in a very good position to finish this, especially now that Pasha's following up. Yokais are relaying so much intel to these VP defenders on the progress of this White Stairs push. But with the damage done elsewhere, it seems a 2v3 and finishing off Always in this down position is the best hope to getting even something close to an advantage. The Yokai usage so good for Virtus.pro to repel the Montaigne. Virtus.pro fight back.
Well done from them on that basement defense, keeping things close to the chest, not overextending themselves and giving FaZe these moments to try and pick up these big isolated kills. I especially love the way that they had that support play working its way around VIP. They were able to identify very early on what FaZe were going for, and they sent everything down that stairwell. Not a single person trying to touch that hatch. They knew that if they didn't deal with that position in VIP, the round was already going to be lost anyways. But it was Virtus.pro that was able to get these big kills, especially for Joystick here inside of a small bake, things along these lines that made this round really complicated for FaZe. Very well done from the Orange.
Virtus.pro able to work themselves in positions that FaZe aren't fully aware of. I love that. What a smooth gentleman right there. He's got to wear two because it's too bright on Planet Cool, unfortunately.
That was slick. That was real slick.
I didn't come up with it. But still, a good showing from Virtus.pro to follow that up, bringing a little bit of that aggression, again, a little bit of that uncertainty that FaZe, of course, when you're gambling and you're going for those flanks, an uncertain position might be your undoing. But FaZe still very much in the lead. We'll need to see more of that from Virtus.pro. More power positions being held as FaZe are going for the flood. More players on the defense anticipating FaZe to have someone flank around the backside or just around any different position that Virtus.pro could be holding. More of that, please. More of that, please, because I want a 3-mapper. I don't want another 2-0 where the crowd favorite has the easiest time possible.
And most definitely. In FaZe, you can go all the way to the finals, but let's make it fun, right? Let's make it a little interesting here. I think you've had it too good so far this tournament. Hopefully Virtus.pro can try and warm themselves up to the occasion, especially for Shepard's sake. I mean, my God, man, that first map, even though they were a lot of impactless frags, you were cooking, especially with that SMG-11. As of now, 0-5, and I'm sure all of your teammates would appreciate you showing up the same way, or even close to the same way that you were in that previous map.
Reload.
Cyber looking for something down red stairs. I always love how quickly this man can get in the map, how quickly he wants to take control. Dokkaebi call also going out. Cyber will back off the moment, go back up to the top floor, just get a view of what it's looking like on this middle floor, then move back, join the rest of the team. It's 3 different Virtus.pro defenders on this top floor with support from Shepard down below with a C4, but Handy's found him. He's just lurked his way into reading room. He's got control of the bomb site, Sam.
Sometimes you don't have to overcomplicate things, Carter. Sometimes you simply have to walk forward. You have to take land, and that's what FaZe will do. Virtus.pro, they put everything on black. They put everything on the top floor, and FaZe expose it immediately. Feed him to the wolves. It's FaZe all day.
Map point, series point, upper bracket final point. FaZe simply 1 round away from being the first team to make our grand final. And it's all smiles on FaZe.
Why be nervous?
Exactly.
You have 10,000 people cheering for you. Anytime Virtus.pro wins a round, you can hear a pin drop in this place. You hear anything from FaZe, a kill, a round, anything. It's like a nuclear explosion. I'm revisiting Oppenheimer every single time. This entire arena feels like it's gonna fall down.
And this crowd will be more than happy to see one of the home favorites be the first team to make the grand final. 3 different chances FaZe Clan have to bring it back. We've seen Virtus.pro down 6-3 before in important moments. It was always who bailed them out, always who put them in this matchup over Dark Zero. Had he not clutched that 1v3, it'd be Canadian on that stage and his squad facing off against FaZe. Instead, Virtus.pro fought back. Virtus.pro proved they were in it for the long game. But in the moment where they needed it the most, not their final life, but still one where you want that day off, you want that comfort of knowing you're guaranteed at least second. Virtus.pro are collapsing, falling apart. FaZe are picking up the pieces and just chucking them out the window.
Yeah, the board game no longer exists. Simply FaZe. What can you do against this raid boss? Cyber working his way up through this barbed wire. That sound cue is not going to work in an environment like this. Cyber's once again just going to walk in. Virtus.pro, they are not paying attention to what the capabilities of FaZe are in this moment. Almost losing his head there as he saw Cyber for a split second, but neither one of them coming close in contact. Cyber does have some sight control, but now it's going to be a fight back scenario for Virtus.pro. They'll be able to at least reclaim and make this winnable into the 3 versus 3. Soul's on low HP. He's going to claymore up red stairs, but they still have Beta King to work around to try and push themselves and spearhead into this site.
Beta King needs to find that pressure. A lot of that vertical destruction was left when KDS fell on the side of FaZe. So you need to have these drones find impact. You need to have these players find ground, take momentum. I mean, Sam, we might see Handy just send it into the side at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's looked so solid across both of these maps. 11-4 right now. He sits right outside of Haldor. Go for reading on a moment's notice. And more than likely, Carter, we'll see FaZe try and work their way down wide or down really any entry point with this Monty. Try and pull vision and then let Handy do what he does best. Kill the opposition. Souls, almost with a nice find. That Selma usage, very creative. Not something you see every day when it comes to the soft destruction, but still something that more than in the regard, at least in this situation, be usable. Drone there, new jammer out. Sub-minute here as Vita King has to try and find a place to plant.
But he's moved to an off spot. The canister goes in the default position, but that's not where Vita King is with the diffuser. There's also the Legion all the way in train that we saw earlier, who might prove to be the difference maker. And if Souls is watching flank or Joystick's going for the retake, he can shut this down, but one always falls. Handy's able to find him, but there's Joystick with the retake. FaZe in a difficult position. Where do you rotate? How do you move? They found one remaining defender, but can they find two? He goes for the position, Handy goes for the kill. Another 1v1 to send FaZe to the grand final, not yet. Pasha's still in it, Pasha's still hungry. They need two more, but Virtus.pro still have some fight left in them.
And there has been a couple times this event where Pasha's number has been called up, and he has made it matter the most as he keeps VP alive in this scenario. Microseconds away from losing that, so very close. If Handy predicts that on a pre-fire or anything of the sort, that's more than likely FaZe with the round. And what a moment there from Joystick. They're flying pretty high right now, but they still need 2 rounds in order to force overtime.
They at least fended off a quick play from FaZe, something that could have caught them off guard. FaZe, or Cyber specifically, moving into the site. VP stopped it. So now let's see what happens. How are FaZe going to adjust? I imagine after that, they're not just going to move immediately in again. It'll probably be more utility focused. FaZe will try to change up the game. Virtus.pro not only are expecting that aggression now, they are ready for it, and they can counter it. It might be close, it might be a 1v1, but they can still deal with it. But FaZe moved to an old reliable. Vita King, at the very last second, switches to that Monty. We'll see if they change up the strategy, but this operator selection is looking quite familiar.
I really hope that they do. We saw what Virtus.pro were capable of when they were trying to guard that VIP position, and eventually FaZe was able to garner it. But there was so much value lost in that moment, there was really no chance for them to try and translate that into a site take. Virtus.pro battering and bruising them across the board when it came to this site. Let's see what FaZe can do this time around as they have a better understanding of what VP wants.
And he immediately inside of the second floor, 20 seconds in, and he's rappelling in the reading room. That's better than cyberspace on some map, it seems. We're talking about 30 seconds maybe on an Oregon full clear. In 20 seconds, Handy has acquired middle floor control and can call Cyber up to say, hey, I've cleared out everything. I can get that vertical destruction, no problem.
And this is just all on good info from FaZe. They've set these drones up properly in the prep phase. They know where Virtus.pro is already, so you know you can just enter the mid-floor. You don't have to worry about anybody being upstairs. You don't have to worry about anybody on that mid-floor. You just enter, take, and immediately start translating into this basement level, this first floor. Let me not make a Taro mad about basement things. But yes, they already are going to be able to pick this up. They have KDS as well on the sledge, but they also have Cyber on the buck here too to assist in creating some of these longer angles to things like coffee.
There's so much vertical destruction at their disposal. Once they get it done, what FaZe need to concern themselves with, Sam, it's Dan at bottom white. It's Pasha playing the whiskey bar. Those players who went on red, who were undealt with, who were the undoing for FaZe previously, that's who they need to counter. How are they going to do it?
It's a very good question. Obviously, the nade nerf has made things a lot harder to try and deal with positions like VIP. We haven't seen them try and adapt into something like a Capitao or something along those lines to try and assist. So it's most definitely going to be the crossfires and trying to apply some pressure in other means. We do have those nades on Handy. It's just the cook timer now that you have to worry about, so that player will be able to move away. But maybe that dislodgement gives them the moment that they are so desperately looking for. Oh, Vita's already in.
But look at this, Vidaking doesn't have the diffuser. He's made his way in, but where is everybody else? They're pushing from a different direction. Handy's rotated over, Soul's also inside a bakery, but he's been found out, but he's been finished. FaZe with a brilliant switch up. Vidaking baits the freezer drop, and FaZe rotate instead. So it's just Pasha and Dan now separated by 2 different floors, but Dan has the cutoff. Vidaking's now rotated, he has that diffuser, and Pasha's fighting back. It's only KDS, and Dan still has that top floor on 1 HP. Can KDS cut them off? Dan's not looking. The plant goes down successfully. Where's the counterplay? Where's the adjustments? Nothing. Nothing from Virtus.pro except a strong effort by Pashu, but an even better one for Vidaking. Full extended, holding out in the post plant. A position every defender is so worried about, but can Dan, with his grand final on the line, juke him out? Happy feet, happy feet. Combo incoming. It's nothing. Listen to this. Brutal. FaZe have played second fiddle this entire year. But the bridesmaids of Brazil might just have their day. FaZe Clan in front of a home crowd are the first team in the grand final of SI 24.
Brazil stand up as FaZe take it 2-0 off of the back of some of the best shield mechanics I have ever borne witness to. Vidaking, what a moment there. The immediate decision making to slap the other man as he's taking that gunfight. Create a 1v1, which Monty is one of the most dangerous operators to try and deal with in a scenario like that. Dan has 0 utility. He has to try and make an error, but Vidaking doesn't live for those. He lives to be the king, baby, and he's looking to find his crown. He's looking to find that hammer.
And if you're looking at that round and you're thinking, who are FaZe Clan? Who is this team? It's that. There's barely any changes in the operators. There's barely even any changes in the first 2 minutes of the round. But Vidaking keeps the same position and everything changes around them. FaZe said, we've conditioned them. They know we're gonna go for a freezer drop and we'll give it to them. Just for one player, just Vidaking. The rest will move into bakery, move into bottom red. They'll take the control instead and take the series 2-0. We have Ian with the interview to break it all down.
Te amo, Brazil! This place might have won a place for a 6 Invitational. FaZe Clan booked their spot in the grand final. They are guaranteed to fight for the hammer on Sunday. VP drop into our lower bracket final. They will live to fight another day. We are now joined by KDS of FaZe Clan. Leo, this is Sao Paulo. You both speak Portuguese. This is your time.
Thank you. I'm shaking. What a final. O martelo tá aqui, mas me fala desse último momento em que o Vita estava segurando ali de montanha. O que passou pela sua cabeça?
Eu tava só esperando que ele não morresse, né? Tava só torcendo pra caramba, mas ele jogou muito com o Montanha e a gente conseguiu garantir a partida aí e a final. E a gente não tem nem o que falar. É uma sensação incrível estar na final, ainda mais aqui no Brasil, jogando no evento de geral aqui. Então, muito obrigado pela torcida, pelos gritos aí, ajudaram a gente bastante. Tamo junto.
Can you repeat in English for the international broadcast?
Okay. So, thank you everyone and the Broadcast International for support FaZe and send messages for us. We are working a lot to be better and better every day and win this tournament.
You want to do one in English?
Absolutely. KDS, just one from me. VP, G2, or W7M in the grand final?
I think what do I want? I want G2 because Ramalho and Alemão, I already play against with them. So it will be so funny to play with them again.
And just for our English fans as well, because I'd like them to know what it feels like to play in front of a home crowd that loud. Can you summarize it for me?
It's amazing. Every round, every kill, they are screaming and we are very happy to play. That's it.
Você nunca esteve tão perto dessa marreta. Definitivamente. Como você se sente? Tá pertinho, tá na final.
Não sei nem o que falar, é uma sensação incrível. Toda a rapaziada do time está muito feliz. A gente conseguiu finalmente chegar numa final, depois de 2 majors na semi. Eu acho que essa sensação por enquanto, é a melhor que eu já tive nos Invitationals, né? E eu estou muito feliz com tudo aí.
Parabéns.
KDS, you go and celebrate with your teammates. Congratulations once again. You can now leave and go join the rest of your team.
Thank you.
Thank you. And as he does, can you just sum up what he just said at the end there
He
for
said
us?
that it's the best feeling that he ever felt. I can understand. Can you hear it?
I have never been in a venue where the ground shakes beneath my feet when the crowd goes wild.
It's not earthquake.
It's not. It's just Brazilian Siege fans giving it large, as we say in the UK. I want to just make something clear to the fans here, if you could communicate this to them.
Yeah.
You have been the loudest crowd I have ever experienced. So first I want to say obrigado, but tomorrow I want you to be even louder.
É isso, rapaziada. Os gringos sentiram. Essa é a torcida mais barulhenta, mas amanhã tem mais. E a gente quer ouvir ainda mais barulho, Ibirapuera.
Now, I want to ask them who they want in the grand final against FaZe Clan. Is that all right?
Ok, let's do it. Vamos lá, quem vocês querem ver diante da FaZe Clan?
Virtus.pro.
I don't think so.
G2!
I can hear some.
W7M!
Okay. Do you have your answer?
I think we do. All right, let's close this show out. We have still got a huge weekend of Siege ahead of us. We are just getting started in Sao Paulo. Back to the desk.
There is absolutely nothing like Brazilian Siege fans, and as you can all see and hear, there's nothing like it. I hope that we get to see you watching at home at one of our events in the future. For now, we're just going to wrap up our day here together. Hello, I'm Milosh, your host. With me is Fox and Laxing, our 2 professional players to help us lock this all down. A valiant effort from Virtus.pro to try to bring it down, Laxing, but FaZe at the end, what a way to close it with the shield play.
I mean, what a way to close it out. Vidiking played that beautifully. I mean, NA, you need to take lessons from Vidiking and how to play Monty specifically, because that was a masterclass. I think there was like 30 seconds left in the round, and he dwindled that all the way down. I could only feel for Dan what that was going through his head.
Honestly, I don't know if we can get like cameras or something, because there has to be something for Kino to learn in this. I don't know if you're listening right now, but like, Kino, look at that last round. It's something you can take away from it.
Not just the last round, but the whole game, specifically Vidiking, in particular, playing those shields, being the thorn in VP's side, the clash on defense, the Monty on attack. FaZe, throughout the whole game, had a good understanding of how to exploit Virtus.pro, make them slow down, make them execute, and they just knew exactly what they needed to do start to finish.
And to just touch up on Vidiking again, I mean, I think at the end of that round, I believe he was 3-9 or 3-8. It just goes to show, just because you aren't top of the leaderboard, that you aren't getting all the kills, does not mean that you don't play a tremendous role on that team. And Vidiking closed out this round, closed out this game to secure a grand finals for them.
Yeah, all of the most important parts were on the backs of the shields. They would use a lot of the clash, a lot of the Monty to integrate retakes. They give Virtus.pro these false sense of securities, let them set up, and then there would be the clash pushes up, C4, and retakes from all angles that would just be able to completely tear down Virtus.pro, make them think they're safe and sound, and they weren't.
I think nobody is, I guess, feels no shame in running the shields and running them to their absolute maximum as Brazilian teams do. That is incredibly impressive as a strategy, and you two have been on the opposite end of it.
I mean, yeah, we have. I mean, it's always rough to find yourself in a position like that. And like I said, you know, you got to feel for Dan being in that 1v1 where the game is on the line, tournament is on the line, and you just can't close that out.
Yeah, I mean, the shields are very difficult to play. As some of you may know, I played shields for my team a lot. I mean, the Clash 180. I mean, we didn't see any Clash 180 today, but I was still impressed.
Hey, that was beautiful.
I was still impressed with how Vita King was able to pretty much carry his team. He is the main IGL for the team, so he was able to give the exact communication on when he needed to have the rest of the team sync up and attack on point.
And actually, it's kind of a, how do you say, a clinic on how to prevent a plant. That was round number 1. Fox, you want to break it down?
Of course, I'd love to. Number 1, first out of the gate, we were so impressed with what Vita King was able to pull out. They, from start to finish, stalled out the Clash, slowing for the plant, calling to his teammates. Here's that C4, look at that coordination. Obviously, everyone's gonna laugh. The Mitro that was hacked took down the Clash, but when that was going on, we actually saw the rest of FaZe Clan attack the sides. We had a white push, and we had a player flank up red. And the amount of distraction that Vita King was able to provide caused the rest of his team to be able to take full control of the extremities of the map, isolate 1v1s, and Virtus.pro just wasn't even close to understanding what they could stop. They lost it from every single angle.
And I wanted to give VP the benefit out going into this map, but the one thing that I was worried about where, we're talking about adapting, understanding the other team, that's what FaZe did beautifully going into this game because they played a lot faster pace in the early rounds to stop VP from getting into sites, to stop them from just trying to get an initial hold or get an initial strategy of what they wanted to do. And then when they would get those initial picks, they'd immediately just fall back to site knowing that VP's a slow team and knocking a player out off the board is just going to slow them down even more.
We had a replay of Handy earlier on, but we're going to bring him up again because this man is definitely to be highlighted. Might look a bit quiet, reserved, but not on the server.
Not in the server at all. We highlighted him before the match started. He is the main person on FaZe that will get in the map, take position, set up the drones for his teammates. He'll set everything up, and then once his job is done, he's able to become a Slayer. You see right here, jumping in, he's always getting these picks after his job is done. He's one of those players that is reserved at the start, but once he's able to be given the flexibility, given the freedom, he's making all his shots hit throughout the whole tournament.
I mean, in a game like this with a team like FaZe, to be the person to receive the, I guess, the piece of the intel play of the game, that's pretty darn impressive.
I mean, to clinch grand finals, to be the player of the game, intel player of the game, and what more can you ask for?
Let's take a look at our bracket on everything that's happened so far today. 3 matches, and they gave us this. FaZe Clan, of course, defeating Virtus.pro. They will be the first team in our grand final. Reminder, FaZe Clan are no slouches, that's for sure, and they have seen grand finals many a times over the past few years. We'll get to see them in here, potentially a brand new team to lift the hammer. But with W7M and G2, they still have to play tomorrow. I would say bitter international rivalry for the team to win and play Virtus.pro. Gentlemen, your thoughts on all of this?
I'm really just looking forward to that W7M G2 game, especially with Philly Pox coming on the stage saying he really wants to play Alamau specifically. And that, again, they're both very confident that they can counter each other and be the team walking away and going into a grand final.
I think every Brazilian team wants to face Alamau on stage, especially in Brazil. I really don't know who the crowd would root for, but if the crowd was crazy today, I'm expecting something insane tomorrow, and especially on the finals day.
Yeah, I don't think you can even believe it, just because, reminder, hey, Fridays are usually people still at work, they're usually still at school, they got stuff to do. That's okay. That's why we're expecting Saturday and Sunday. I mean, already today.
This is still full.
It is still
insane.
Full. I've never been in a stadium where you feel the ground shake when people are cheering and chanting. Every single kill, not only do you hear the thum, of, like, when somebody
I like that
drops
sound.
somebody.
That was really spot on.
I know, but you also hear the crowd just in rage, in hype.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure to be on this desk with you today. It's our first time that we get to do a full desk together, so hey, it fills my heart. I've been casting you and talking about you on desks for years. Now we get to be together to talk about the other best teams in the world.
The best emotion, the best feeling is playing on this stage with all the chills, but the second best is being on a desk with you guys.
Oh, he's so cute. Thank you very much, Fox. Lax, I mean, this is a teammate to have.
No, I mean, me and Fox have had tons of history, tons of ups and downs. I mean, the biggest thing is we played pretty much at every single invite. We're now on the desk together. Who's to say we don't come back and win at SI?
Everybody wants to play, right? When you feel it here, and for those that are watching at home, I know you're itching to finish the show so that you could get into your own ranked game because it just hypes you up. So thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you, of course, to Fresh and Fabian who are with me here on the desk, and for all of you watching in the arena. And yes, Lex.
Can I just say one thing, because my parents give me crap all the time for this? Mom and Dad and everyone at home, my family, I absolutely love you guys. I couldn't do this job without you, and same with the fans and all the supporters.
Thank you very much. There we go. We're all one big family here, either in the talent or the players, or all of you. We're part of the one and same in Rainbow Six. For that, we'll see you tomorrow morning for more action here live from Sao Paulo. Till then, I can't wait. I've waited so long to say this finally. We love you so very much. Good night.